Let's see. Ah yes, my favorite songs. The Story So Far and Missing Link from the Final Fantasy XIII-2 soundtrack. Yes, those are real songs. Ahoy! I'm iAyeCaptainKai, and I just finished playing Final Fantasy XIII for the first time. And it has some interesting bits of information for Kingdom Hearts fans going into Kingdom Hearts 4, and the choices that Sora will have to make. While yes, we probably are going to get into some theory territory, I'm mostly interested in making connections between the two. I want to make it clear that I know Final Fantasy XIII and Kingdom Hearts do not share stories, but there's no denying the influence Fabula Nova Crystallis has had. It's made pretty clear that Fabula Nova Crystallis is being utilized in at least Verum Rex in regards to crystal stasis and a poster bolstering Cocoon in Quadrado. Cocoon being the world that Final Fantasy XIII's story takes place in. Let's dive in. Starting with the building blocks of Final Fantasy XIII, we need to understand what Fabula Nova Crystallis is exactly. Initialized in 2004, it's the mythology that powers the 13 trilogy, as well as Type 0 and Versus 13. Rest in peace. While not explained in the story of 13.1, Square originally uploaded a video explaining it, and if you have any idea what happened in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, Fabula Nova Crystallis paints an even bigger picture on the events that took place. I'm going to explain the mythology and then apply context with Kingdom Hearts afterwards. But the mythology goes along the lines of this. To take control of the world, a god named Bunavelza killed his mother Mwyn, who created the world. This caused her to vanish into the unseen realm. Believing that she left a curse of mortality on those residing in the world, Bunavelza created 3 deities to search for the door to the unseen realm so that he could take control and rule from both sides. The first deity was Pulse, who was tasked with terraforming, while another deity named Lindsay acted as Bunavelza's protector. And lastly, we have Etro, who due to her resemblance of Mwyn, was abandoned. She ended her own life as a result of being cast aside, and Lindsay forged humanity from her blood. Now in the unseen realm, Etro met with Mwyn, who was being consumed by chaos, which threatened the destruction of reality itself. As Mwyn faded away, she bestowed a task to Etro to protect the balance between the worlds. To accomplish this, she attempted to divide chaos between the realms through the process of resurrecting humans who passed into the unseen realm. She began by planting a seed of chaos in them, and those seeds sprouted into hearts, and the hearts bloomed into individuality, setting humans apart from other beings. And with that, there's already a few similarities I can see with Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. With the Master of Masters vanishing to an unseen realm, but not before bestowing each Keyblade wielder with their own Dream Eater, which allowed them to choose between sleep and resurrection upon death. With that logic, you may think that I'm alluding to Master of Masters sharing a narrative with Etro, but Master of Masters' plan was a little too methodical for that, I feel, and more so resembling Lindsay. You see, Lindsay created a moon colony, and that moon colony was named Cocoon. Essentially, it's a giant shell in the sky, akin to a moon, where people lived. And the deities that Lindsay created were tasked with protecting the people and nurturing them in the process. And Cie'th, being something that the Master of Masters created, even tells the Keyblade wielder upon them dying that if they choose to sleep, that it will become something to protect them. And then he vanished at some point from the world. Similar to how the Master of Masters created a data daybreak town for the Dandelions to escape the Keyblade War while he seemingly slipped away from reality. And like with Kingdom Hearts, a lot of the lore in Final Fantasy XIII is actually spread across the world, written by various entities, akin to the Ansem Reports. It's not exactly clear how Lindsay vanished, but the villain of Final Fantasy XIII hypothesized in an entry labeled number 12, when our earthly vessels meet their end, the souls they housed must leave this world. Would the path their migration not be the same one as our departed gods? Must they not pass through the same doorway the divine employed to reach the place that lies beyond? If this is the case, it stands to reason that, should a great many lives at once be cut short, a flood of souls would surge through the aforementioned portal. The door would be thrown wide, and perhaps we might even get a glimpse of the gleaming light of divinity beyond. This immediately got me wondering about the implications of Kingdom Hearts as an entity. It's been referred to as a door in the past, and the Keyblade War in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross very well could have been the flood of souls needed to reach the unseen realm. We even see the process of resurrection at that point. So if I think Master of Masters is equivalent to Lindsay, who could Pulse or Etro be? Following my logic, I don't think any of the Union leaders could narratively follow in line with the other deities. Though I will say Sigurd appearing in the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer leads me to suspect him as Pulse. This is pure speculation, but here's a little glimpse into a theory I've been working on. Not to give too much away, but the first 3 letters in this bulletin board are EGK. If we unscramble that, we get EKG. EKG being an electrical reading of your heart. And this paired with the line at the bottom kind of paints the image of a pulse in my mind. If the Master of Masters and Sigurd are both atop this building, then EKG would line up with Pulse, while E-Cocoon would line up with Lindsay, respectively. As for Etro, I think we'll have to wait and see, assuming it's not Dimix. And you may think I'm joking, but entry number 13 says, "When the twilight of the gods at last descends upon the world, what emerges from the unseeable expanse beyond the door will be but music, and that devoid of words, the lamentations of the goddess Etro, as she sobs her song of grief." And if you take Dimix's name and unscramble it in different languages, you can get the words God and dead. And with Fabula Nova Crystallis, Etro is the goddess of death. There's one more thought I wanted to share from my experience with Final Fantasy XIII. You all probably know about crystal stasis at this point if you've been following my channel for any amount of time. I'm low-key obsessed. But after playing 13, it readjusted my view on a lot of things in Kingdom Hearts 3. Most notably, the Nameless Stars in the final world. Let me explain. But first, if you're enjoying the video, consider subscribing, or even joining my newly created Patreon for as little as $1 a month. No obligations, but it's all appreciated nonetheless. Back to what I was explaining. The curse that grants crystal sleep to the one branded also has the ability to mutate them into a monster. This happens as a result of not fulfilling their purpose. After some time and a sprinkle of depression, they go into a different form of sleep, where they're able to communicate, but like the Nameless Stars, they aren't exactly the happiest bunch, and spend their sleep living in regret. It's also possible that the Darklings in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross are the monsters that they become before residing in the final world. But yeah, that's just most of my thoughts after finishing Final Fantasy XIII. If you want to catch me live, I'll be streaming Final Fantasy XIII-2 and exploring the lore even deeper. I also started reading the 13-2 prologue novel and can already see some connections I want to make in my next video. But we'll save that for then. I just wanted this to be my impressions after beating the first game. I haven't been spoiled yet, so keep that in mind when leaving comments. I don't even know if these deities are ever even referred to as anything other than their name. But it was all very interesting nonetheless to me. If you haven't already, consider joining the Discord. Hopefully I see you in a stream or the next video. Bye-bye!